that's where my bag at. All I really need is Wi-Fi. Get money on DeFi. Mega cash on M.I.M.S. You better run when the runners run. Show you how to get your money up. Dollar inflated like bubble gum. Markets are jumping like double dutch. Buying up gold till I get a ton. Crypto, yeah, I got some. You better run when the runners run. You better run when the runners run.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. The markets are red. I'm buying it up like crazy. We got the Trump tariff trade war going on. But tonight, we are going to focus on how people can get into the cryptocurrency and blockchain space who know nothing about it. So this is all for the newbies. But even if you have been here a while, you're going to learn a lot. As always, I got my good brother here, Ricardo Hamilton, aka M.I.M.S, making it make sense. Did you buy the dip?
Oh, you know I'm buying a dip.
That's right.
Okay. Listen, this is the time to buy. We know that. We fired up and excited. I mean, this is the Trump wealth effect in effect. But understand that most people think the wealth effect is things going up, and that's when you make money. No, this is when you're really going to make the money because you're buying the assets while they're cheap, while they're on sale. So
that's right.
Yeah, dollar cost average in, wait for the market to recover. We're going to see massive wealth transfer that take place like never seen before. This is historical, what we're seeing in the economy and in this government. And don't take it for something it's not. This is an opportunity for those who know how to position themselves for what's to come on the other side. But I'm fired up for tonight's show, man. You know, education is critical. And a lot of times there's just really a lot of people who have no idea really what's going on, what this space is about. And, you know, we've been educating and making people aware of, you know, how to take advantage and how to win in this space for years. And so we definitely got a good show for you guys tonight. Fired up and excited. But how you doing, brother?
Oh, man. Amazing. Had an awesome day today. Got up super early, got to the gym before 8 a.m. So I'm ready to crush it tonight. I feel like I have so much more energy. Before we bring on our amazing guest, I just want you guys to think about what M.I.M said there. We wanted the price of gasoline to go down. We wanted the price of food to go down, of eggs. So why would you not want the price of crypto and stocks to go down? This is one of the biggest things we teach about education is looking at the value and not the price. So when we went to Oklahoma to see real world assets brought onto the blockchain, we got to meet Matt and Laurel. And they are part of the Trusted Smart Chain, the Trusted Society. And Laurel does so many things, and she wanted to get into this space. Matt knows about blockchain. He runs nodes and does all these crazy things. But this is her first time getting educated in this space. And it's rare to get somebody who's new and willing to open up and really talk about their experience getting to learn about blockchain and cryptocurrency. So without any further ado, we have the amazing Laurel Sauls here. Laurel, thank you for joining us tonight.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime, Laurel. So I don't know how you do what you do. I mean, first of all, you're a mother of 6. You're one of the top real estate agents in South Carolina, and you have to put up with Matt. So how do you juggle all these things just as a woman today in 2025?
Well, Matt takes on a lot. I could not do it if he was not as involved as he is. And our kids are older, so that makes it a little more doable than it would have been 10 years ago. But there's a lot that doesn't get done. There's a lot of things I gave up when I became a working mom. And, you know, I just do what I can and try to let the rest go and not feel too guilty.
Oh, you make it sound too easy. You got to come up with a book here soon. But okay, so you have 6 kids. The oldest is at what age, and what's the youngest?
So we have 6. We have 4 sons that are 22, 19, 17, and 15. And then we have twin girls that are 13.
Okay. Wow. Wow. That's a full-time job right there.
Yeah. The twins are the surprise.
And you guys are down in South Carolina, right?
Mm-hmm, Myrtle Beach.
Okay. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I know somebody in Myrtle Beach when I want to go there. Perfect.
Yes, come visit.
And how long have you been a realtor?
7 years.
7 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you were juggling and doing everything. Now, Matt's been in crypto for a long time. He knows a lot of stuff. So before you learned about Trusted Smart Chain, what was your reaction to cryptocurrency and blockchain?
I joke a lot because he's always on Zoom calls. He's always on speakerphone, and we both work from home a lot. And honestly, my opinion of crypto was pretty negative because I just felt like all I ever heard, and I hope it's okay if I'm like not super PG.
Yeah.
But I would just joke, is that okay? Like it's all adults.
Yeah.
I would just always joke that it just felt like a bunch of crypto bros circle jerking and like listening to themselves talk. I was like, I couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
Matt always wanted me to get involved, and I honestly just felt like I didn't have the bandwidth to take that on. And I'm like, you're already doing it, so why do I need to do it? Like,
Right.
I'll do real estate, you do crypto. Um, all of my kids, except for one kid, says she's marrying rich and she doesn't need crypto. The other five all have their own wallets.
Oh, wow. Awesome. I love
Yeah,
that.
so I'm literally like almost the last adopter in my family.
Well, first of all, we got to give Matt a round of applause.
Yeah.
Getting 5 of your 6 kids to have crypto wallets already is
Yeah.
amazing. That's
Right.
what it's about, guys, is that education, passing on that generational wealth. So
Honestly, it's something that has really been a bonding thing with our kids. Like it's something that's really connected them, and they've been excited on different projects and talking about it together. And our kids bring their friends over and get Matt to educate them. So it's been a fun thing for our family.
that's awesome. I love that. So what was I know you when we met in Oklahoma, you kind of talked about how you had a shift from where you were like, this is a bunch of crypto bros and a circle jerk. And then something kind of changed, something kind of caught your attention of like, maybe there's more than this than I thought.
Yeah, so I went out to California, and it was really just we both are being pulled in so many different directions all the time. Um, that sometimes it's hard for us to connect. And I knew this was something that he was really passionate about. And he asked me to go with him to California and just see what my opinion on the situation was, because he knows that I'm, first of all, a much more skeptical person in general than he is.
Right.
But also just, I felt like it was an opportunity for me to enter into something that he cared about. I fully planned on just sitting in the meetings and like working on my laptop and doing my own thing. And I didn't pull it out one time because I ended up being so interested. I mean, there were just such intelligent people in the room. I felt so energized. It's honestly an energy that
Mm.
has injected my year. Like it never went away after I came back. Like I just felt so energized by the new ideas and like being around so many smart people. That I don't think I pulled my laptop out one time. I didn't do any work at all. I just was fascinated.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe too. We've both been in this space for a while, but we were so impressed when we went out to California um, to meet with TX7 Exchange and the Trusted Smart Chain. And I love what you said there about like bonding and getting something connected with Matt. So if there's any ladies watching, all right, if you want to connect with the guy and you take the time to learn about cryptocurrency and blockchain, you're going to set yourself apart. That's all I'm saying. So focus on that. Now I want to get your take, Laurel, there in a minute in California, but M.I.M.S, can you maybe just the people that are new on this, talk about why we went out to California to the headquarters and what is going on here with this, what I would say is the most revolutionary thing going on in blockchain right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for substance. We're always looking for value. Something of real use case and utility that's very innovative. That's going to be a major component to the new economy. And we had to go out to California to substantiate that value. With T7X. And like you said, Mike, when we got there, all our questions were answered. It was clear as day that they're doing something that's next level that hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
I mean, literally to be, the only blockchain out there that requires every asset on the exchange to file a Reg A and Reg D with the SEC. It brings a lot of a reassurance, and a surety and clarity and trust in the system, and that's what people want. That's what people need. That's what people are looking for. Because in this space it has been, rife with so much, scammers and
Yeah.
rug pulls and, all these things where people have lost money. Well, now when you have the opportunity to have something that is actually, transparent, and secure, that gets you excited, especially when, the platform is leveraging a market that's $1.64 quadrillion. This is next level. So yeah, I mean, we went out to Cali and it just confirmed everything that we needed to see. And that's why we're letting people know, like, you want to make sure that you're in position and you acquire the asset, of the blockchain, which is the node, the software, and put yourself in position to win. And man, I'm telling you, yeah, I believe, like you said, Mike, this is definitely one of going to be the biggest RWA plays, moving forward, with everything that we're seeing.
So I know Laurel kind of saw that. She got to experience it firsthand, which I think was a big deal in her transformation. But now, Laurel, I've watched some of your videos, and it's the blockchain chicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So blockchain chicks on TikTok. Make sure you guys follow Laurel there. But one of her big things she talks about is the language and the vocabulary is a big barrier to entry to new people. So M.I.M.S, even though he's making it make sense, probably use some words there new people might not understand. So we know Trusted Smart Chain is awesome. We know it's doing something revolutionary, but I really want to get your insight, Laurel. You know, your husband is super knowledgeable when it comes to cryptocurrency and blockchain, but even you weren't grasping it and getting into it. So, like, let's rewind a few steps here, right? What are the barriers to people getting into or understanding blockchain, cryptocurrency, digital assets, so that we as educators can again always learn from people about how to help more people get educated in this space? So maybe walk us through some of your pet peeves or things you didn't like before when it came to learning about this space.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of barriers to entry. I think the lack of knowledge and even how to find the knowledge, like where do you even begin learning, um, is obviously one. I mean, literally have a stack of flashcards where I have gone through and written out a node is this,
Uh-huh.
fiat is this, and I literally like act like I'm learning a new language, like I'm teaching myself German or something. Like
Right.
that's how it feels. I told a story the other day on TikTok. Like Matt and I had gone to dinner, and he was talking to a guy he ran into there, knowledgeable, smart guy that started talking about crypto, and Matt said something about fiat currency, and he's just talking, and I see the guy's like face is glazed over like already, and I'm like, "You're doing crypto, bro, talk. Stop." I was like, "Most people don't even know what fiat means,"
Right.
and the guy goes, "I think it's a car," and I'm like, "See, like even that, like that pretty was probably very basic language to
Yeah.
y'all. Like the common person does not know what that means."
Yeah.
So I think it just feels really insurmountable to even figure out where to start. Um, and I think there's a lot of fear because you do hear there's so much fear mongering, and you do hear about like the Hawk Tuah girl and like all this the rug pulls. That's all you hear, and so
Right.
it feels like a completely foreign language. You don't know how to learn about it really, and then there's all this fear because you don't know what you don't know. So I think that's the barrier to which is what I also love about it is that the barrier to entry is only education and anybody can have
Hmm.
access to the internet.
Ooh.
So it really is such an even playing field right now. Um, it just takes a lot of curiosity and willing to spend the time. And for me, that was the biggest, our time is our most important currency. And for me, it felt so daunting. Even living in the same house and being married to someone who knows a ton, even
Right.
someone who is like playing it on Zoom calls all the time. It's like the language that's being shared by people who are knowledgeable is so far beyond a beginner level, that I'm like, I couldn't even understand. I mean, it was like I was listening to someone speaking German. Like that's
Yeah.
how big the disconnect is.
Well, there's two things there you said that I loved. One was you don't know what you don't know. M.I.M. says that all the time, unless someone tells you. And then you talked about how the only barrier to entry is education. And M.I.M.S, I'm going to have you go off here in a little bit because I think what she's saying there is huge. Because before crypto, before this new age, there used to be massive barriers. There used to be economic barriers. If you came from the wrong side of town, if you were the wrong skin color, if you were the wrong sex, you were basically shut out of the economic system. With blockchain and cryptocurrency, we now, all the excuses are gone. The only barrier to entry is education. No matter your location, your race, your sex, your religion, it is now down to you taking action to get educated in this space.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the thing when as I heard Laurel talk, a lot of it also stems to financial literacy. Because when we talk about fiat, we're not talking about crypto. We're
Right.
talking about the present banking and monetary system and how it has functioned, since 1913, with the inception of the Federal Reserve. But it's an exciting journey because you're learning, which is always great because learning something new is very stimulating, especially when whatever it is that you're learning, it's stimulating, but it stimulate your pockets, right? It can actually make you some money, right? Change your lifestyle, right? And the other thing it came down to was what was it? We talked about the
Oh,
fiat.
you don't know if you don't know, or
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, and um, when it comes to this space and learning something new, I treat it like a job, right? So, when you start any new job, they have, certain lingos that they're using, certain codes. There's a manual. There's certain. Sometimes you have to upgrade in your understanding of how they're using these terms and words. That workplace, language. I haven't worked a job in over a decade. I couldn't tell you, but I know that, you know, when people
How
work
nice for you.
jobs, I'm mentally unemployable. I just, I can't. But when people work jobs, yeah, there's usually you got to learn the code on the computer. You got to learn these new terms, and if people really treated, learning blockchain and crypto like they're about to
Mm,
start a new job and had that dedication where they're putting in that time and those hours because they do it for a job because the job is giving them some income to do that. But if you really understand that if you do this for yourself, you're going to change not only your life, but your lives for future generations to come. That's
mm,
how important this education is when it comes to your pockets and your financial security and your lifestyle, because the world is shifting and there is no escaping it. A lot of people treat it like an option, like, oh, it's a hobby.
yeah.
Like she said, it's the crypto bros. Like it's just this hobby, like anything else, and it's not. It's not. We're talking about the revolution, the evolution in the monetary system. It's going to affect everything in areas of human activity, everything, the environment, education, government, law, healthcare. Industries, activities and of human endeavors. Everything has changed for blockchain. It's important that you learn it.
No, 100%. I say this all the time. If you are not learning or getting educated about blockchain and cryptocurrency right now, you are basically like a person in 1995 saying, I don't want to know about the internet. I don't want to know about email. I don't care about a web browser.
Right.
Okay, you are being that person in 1995. Now, can anyone today imagine living without the internet, without email, without a web browser? We
Most
didn't
people
have
can't.
phones in 1995. We didn't know that was going to happen to the extent it did with smartphones. We had these big clunking things that were like the size of a 100-ounce bar. I
Hmm.
didn't have it. Only the top 1% of the 1% had it. But if you guys are watching this right now, like it, share it out, tag some people that you think will get some benefit from learning about crypto. So I want to kind of do a little rapid fire here. Okay, Laurel, is
Okay. But
what are
just
some
remind everybody I
terms?
don't know anything.
Yes. And if you
I am
don't,
a newbie.
M.I.M.S and I will help you out. So,
Okay.
and we can all kind of participate in this, but let's just say some terms that we didn't know or you didn't know, and M.I.M.S and I will like explain it real quick, or you can, and we'll just kind of give them kind of like the cliff notes, or what is it called? Study cramming. What is that called?
Uh,
I haven't been in college in a while.
yeah, I know
I'm
what
going
you're
to
talking about.
study cram, something like that. Kids used to do it where you would stay up at midnight and study, for 2 hours before you went to bed. So what are some other terms that you think people use in the crypto space that normal people don't know? And let me start off with defining fiat. Fiat means by decree. So that means there's no value behind that money or whatever unit is, but because the government or a king has decreed it has value and people follow that king or country, they believe it has value. So the US dollar, there is nothing backing it other than the full faith and credit of the United States government. So therefore, it is by decree. This goes back to Roman times. But that is where we get fiat, not necessarily just a car. So just throw out some terms and we'll have some fun.
I would say the most basic. What is a blockchain?
It's is it too complicated if I say it's a distributed ledger?
Yes.
Okay.
Dumb it down more.
What about a ledger? So a unit of account. So
A
like
way to keep
banks.
records.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just say a way to keep records.
Okay. A way to keep
Yeah.
record of numbers and accounts. So a ledger is what banks do. They keep track of who owes this, who owns that. Banks do it centralized, right? Like Chase Bank, there's one computer where if I had access to Chase Bank, I could go in and change everyone's record because it's centralized. With blockchain, it's a decentralized ledger. So all those numbers of everyone's accounts, that how much Bitcoin they have, how much Ethereum, it's distributed between millions of different computers, and there's no way I can change it because it's a distributed ledger versus a centralized ledger. So it's a unit of account. It's that simple. Especially like Bitcoin is super simple. It's just saying how much Bitcoin is in this wallet and how much Bitcoin is in this wallet. And if Ricardo sends me Bitcoin, it keeps track of that Bitcoin he sent in millions of places around the world on different computers. Does that make sense? If not, tell me no, and M.I.M.S will M.I.M.S it.
Yeah.
All right,
I
what
think there's
else?
a lot of confusion around. I don't think a lot of people realize that we already use blockchains, that that's something that already exists in your daily life, like with credit card transactions and that kind of thing. Nodes. I think most people don't understand what a node is.
That is true. That is for sure. So M.I.M.S, you want to take that one? What is a node?
Yeah. So, nodes are what help blockchains function. There is no blockchain without a node. So if you think about blockchains, you're like, all right, well, what does a blockchain have to have? What it makes it function? It's a node, right? Well, what is a node? It's just software. It's software that's going to help the blockchain run. So obviously, there's value in the blockchain. There's definitely value in the node because you need the node for the blockchain to run. So, simply put, it's just software, that allows and support a blockchain. Um,
Can
that
I
that's
say what I think a node is and you tell me if I'm wrong?
Of
yeah.
course.
Go ahead, Mike.
Because I feel like I'm getting it, but I could be very off base. In my brain, a node is a computer that holds all the transactions, like the ledger, and then they're strung together to make the blockchain. Is the blockchain a bunch of nodes that are put together, and when one's full, then they do the next?
No, that's a great question. This is why we're
Yeah.
doing this. They all keep a record of all the transactions. So let's say we created our own blockchain, right? And we just had 3 nodes. It's us 3, right? If I send Ricardo one of our runners coins on our blockchain, you're going to also record that transaction. And I'm going to record it, and Ricardo is. And if Ricardo sends that to you, I record that on my node, and he on his, and you on yours. So let's say instead of just us 3, we decide to get 100 people into this blockchain. Now, all 100 of us are keeping the exact same record of everything we're doing together. Every time one of us sends each other value, we have a record of it. And my node keeps track of that, and Ricardo's and yours and all the other 100 people. So if Ricardo goes in and says, I'm going to try to, let's say he's a big hacker. He's going to say, I'm going to try to take, 50 of Laurel's runners tokens and put them into my wallet. All the other 99 nodes will say, no, we all have records of everything and you can't do that. So you need I can't remember the technical term, but basically you need what's called 50% to change a blockchain. So as long as over 50% of the nodes in our network agree, nothing can be changed to do that. Now that's more technical stuff because essentially that's almost impossible if everything's set up right. But essentially it's that same ledger and all the accounts and transactions we have ever done together are held separately by all of us and the other 100 people, and there's no way to change it. Whereas if it's a Chase Bank, Jamie Dimon can go in and change my account like that. He has an access code. He can go in and put Michael Tharp has $1 million in his account. And when he changes that one access point in his computer, all the other Chase banks will see Michael Tharp has $1 million in his computer. There's no way to do that with a solid blockchain right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's confusing, but
So
I get it loosely.
when it comes to the blockchain, there are blocks, they're connected. The blocks hold the data and they hold the transactions. The nodes, they're actually going to manage and verify the data on the blockchain. So the nodes generally, like the software of a node on a blockchain is dealing with managing and verification. The block is what actually has the data and the transactions.
Right. And
So
yes,
how is that
Kate,
different from a validator?
So you can go
so a
ahead, Mike.
validator you could say is like a master node that
Okay.
needs to put up collateral to do business. So you could think of, and I just want to give Cade credit here. He is correct. On consensus, that's why you need 51% of a blockchain to agree. That's
my oldest
consensus.
son.
I figured. So a validator, and this is way in the weeds for new people, but you could say a validator is like a master node, or you could say it's like a big apartment complex that puts up capital and has to buy other things. Like they have to really be technical. They have to be computer savvy. They have to make sure that they're always online and the network is up. Typically, they have to put down like a down payment of so many tokens to run a validator. And then people like us, again, I'm not some super geeky crypto nerd technical guy, but I'm going to take my node and put it with a validator. So I'm kind of like hosting or using him to run my node. And I typically give him like 1 to 5% of what I earn with my node. So that's kind of like what is it? Is it not Prosper Wallet, but I can't remember right now, but who are we using to host our nodes? Fluid.
Go Fluid. Yeah.
Right. So Fluid and other people will be validators. Like Matt will probably be a validator because he's good at that stuff. He's going to, run up some servers. And this is, again, what people think nodes are is you need to know, I need to have a server. I need to have a computer. I need to have this technical know-how. No. To be a validator, yes. You have to know what you're doing and be very technical. But to just be a node owner, operator, you can host that. Like I host my Gala node. I haven't touched it or done anything to it other than take money out in 4 years.
Do the nodes make tokens, or would that be the validator?
The validator typically, and some blockchains can be different, but the validator is processing the transactions and gets rewarded for that, for staking so many tokens, and then they kind of share them with the nodes.
Yeah,
That can vary very much depending on the blockchain.
the validator is just involved with the integrity of the whole blockchain. So you can look at it like that. It's a part of the blockchain that, you know, keeps it integral, you know, with the transactions and the blocks and everything. So it's just a way to kind of keeps the integrity of the whole ecosystem.
But the validator is not the same as like a data server. Like Fluid holds your validator because it is a, am I saying it right, data server where you can buy, where you store the information? Is that what it's called?
A data server would store information.
But that's different than a validator.
Yes. A validator could use a data center, but that's a whole different topic that we don't want to get into.
That's too in the weeds.
Yeah.
It's not the typical blockchain terminology that people need to know to get into space. Servers does play a role in understanding just the technical side of, you know, what we're dealing with. But yeah, it's not necessarily a blockchain term.
So
you know,
we got some great comments here. From Cade, nodes are like software users, validators are like software providers. I like that a lot. Very good, Cade. Your dad must have taught you well. And this is a great question from Red Star. How much memory does your computer need to run a node? So most of the nodes, if you're asking that question, you don't want to run a node. Okay. You're going to want to host your node. And there's lots of different services that can do that. But typically, if it's most nodes, it's very little. Like just your average computer that's, you know, from the last 2 or 3 years typically will work for most nodes. Now, more intensive nodes, you might need to upgrade. But again, I wouldn't tell anyone to do that who is even asking that question. You would host it. Okay. And that's just the easiest way. Unless you are super into this, just host your node. Okay. It's very affordable. It costs us $2 a month. You have 100% uptime. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't even need a computer. Just making it way more simple than you need to be is the best way to go. But Laurel, what are some other terms you heard as you got into blockchain that you think new people should know?
Cold wallet versus hot wallet. When I talk to people, and I'm always saying, I don't know anything, ask Matt. But I have been asked several times, like, why would I buy a node versus tokens? Or even more basic than that, how do I, like, people are like, how do, like, I don't even, okay, so I have a SafePal wallet.
Mhm.
I don't know how to put money on it. When I see XRP goes down and I'm like, oh, I want to buy some, I literally am like, Matt, will you put some money on my wallet? Because I don't know how. I literally don't know how to put money on there. And I'm not a dumb person. Like, I feel like even the most basic, how do you get a wallet? How do you get money onto a wallet? How do I buy something? How do I, you know, people don't
Yeah.
know whatever that key, that seed phrase, whatever that phrase is that you don't tell anybody, don't lose it ever because
Right.
you'll lose your money forever. Like, people don't know what any of that is. I barely know what any of that is.
So let's keep it simple. If you are new to crypto, I wouldn't focus on a cold wallet until you have $1,000. Okay. Just because the learning barrier is too much. So anyone new to crypto, I don't even talk about cold wallets, right? Because it's just, like you said, there's the process of buying it. So I would say one of the things people need to know is when you do have your own wallet, or it's called a self-custodial wallet, meaning you have the private keys, meaning you have the 12 words to that wallet. Most of the time, you can't just go to that wallet and buy it. That wallet is just for storage. You could think of it as like your safety deposit box. But to buy something to put into that safety deposit box, you have to go to the bank, which in this case would be an exchange like Coinbase, crypto.com, or Kraken. So you have to go to those exchanges and then send it to your safety deposit box, which is your cold storage.
So if I
But
was going to start brand new, I would download a SafePal wallet or some other wallet, and then I would go to an exchange, and I would buy it there and transfer it to my hot wallet,
to your cold wallet.
cold wallet. Well, I thought we weren't doing cold wallets.
Well, you said cold wallet. But
Oh,
yeah, I mean, it depends. If you want to keep it simple, just go to an exchange and buy some. Once you get up to $1,000, then I would learn about cold storage.
so we had
Yeah,
a
but
friend that came over that was trying to figure this out, and even buying the crypto was difficult because it was, I don't know if it was like Venmo that he had, whatever. It was like his bank wouldn't take it, maybe because it was a local
Right.
bank. Like even that first
Yes.
step,
Banks
he was
try to
like
do
about
everything
shutting
they
down.
can to keep your money in their system and not get out. But M.I.M.S, go ahead. What did you want to add?
no, I thought she said hot wallet. But yeah, I mean, you would have your hot wallet and you would buy some crypto off of a centralized exchange, but you want to send it to your hot wallet, which is usually like an app on your phone. You download that wallet and, you want it, non-custodial, self-custody, decentralized wallet. So that way you take ownership of your asset and you don't leave it exposed to a third party where it's on their centralized exchange. You want to be decentralized. That's one of the major things about the blockchain space is the decentralization of it, where the banks have screwed us, institutions screw us with a decentralized nature. There's no them having full control over the asset and things of that nature. It's now you taking control of your asset. Um, so yes, you would buy it on a centralized exchange and you would send it to your hot wallet. And yes, make sure you have your private keys, your seed phrases, your mnemonic phrases. You keep those secret and keep them safe because those are the keys to your vault. But I agree with Mike. If you're beginning, you don't need to get into cold storage. Um, it's just more technical, it's more setup, more information that goes into it. Eventually, you do wanna get into cold storage, for long-term digital asset holds that you will never touch for, years on years, if not decades, is how I use it. Otherwise, hot wallets are safe. Long as you have your keys and your seed phrases, your mnemonic phrase to your wallet, and only you have them, generally you're good to go.
Are there any, when you're buying, like say you go to crypto.com and you want to buy your first crypto, are there any, like is a local bank less likely to be able to do it? Like are there certain ways of paying for it that are easier, or do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it varies. We work with a lot of people. I use Chase Bank and have never had any issues. There was a local credit union in my hometown, and I went to open up a nonprofit or a bank account for my nonprofit, nothing to do with crypto. And they would not let me open an account because they looked on social media and saw I talk about crypto.
That's
And
insane.
I'd opened my account for my nonprofit, and then they sent me a letter said, yeah, we're gonna have to close your account. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you talking about? It's like a local credit union. Like, you talk about crypto online, we can't allow you to open a bank account. I'm like, what? Like, I wasn't like buying crypto with it. I wasn't sending crypto in. Like, some banks are just super weird, and they'll do everything they can to try to keep everything in dollars. So I would say from my experience, bigger banks are easier to work with than smaller banks, but it's just a crapshoot at this point because again, they just make up all these rules and regulations anyways.
Yeah, so, you could use there's Bitcoin ATMs, if you have cash. A lot of times, depending on where you go buy some digital assets, it comes down to the fees, what you're paying for the asset versus what it actually costs, and that exchange rate can vary. But, so I remember for a lot, I used to use Bitcoin ATMs and I would throw cash in there. and then I would get, the digital asset, and then I can move the digital asset wherever I wanted to, and do what I needed to do, with that value in the digital asset in dollars. But then, yeah, of course, yeah, banks and credit unions will give you a hassle sometime. But a lot of times they just want to make sure that it's not fraud, because there are, like we talked about, there are a lot of scams, and a lot of people have been adversely affected in this space. So, at some point it's a hindrance and we hate it, but there are times when it has saved some people. Because of the fraud alerts and things that nature just happened to me. People have, got access to my bank account. They took my card. You're at a restaurant, they take your card information and they go on and and buy crypto. And then I have to report to my bank, hey, well, this wasn't me. And was able to get my funds back. But this kind of scamming and stuff happens all the time. But generally, if it is you and you can verify it's you and you're making that transaction, you just call the fraud department, in your bank and say, hey, I'm making this transaction. But Mike is right. There are just some at some banks just totally, people are losing their accounts, and everything because they're in crypto. But obviously with this new administration, with regulations coming down the line and all these changes right now, that's going to be a thing of the past. Banks, have the right to do what they want with crypto and things now, with certain bills and legislations and things. So 2025 is going to be a transformative year for blockchain, the banking industry, and people's access to this market.
All right, this is a great way to transition. We're going to do this last question, and this is a good one. How does someone get started? So we have 2 links down below to school with M.I.M.S or myself. I would recommend doing that. It's free for the first 7 days, and we're always willing to help people if they want more. But I would just say you want to get a mentor or a community. Okay, do not try to do this by yourself. Do not try to watch 20 different YouTubers and piece them all together. Okay, find somebody that you trust and who connects with you and join their community to learn about this. That is the best advice I can give you, whether it's Ricardo, Matt, or me. We also have a great community called the Trusted Society. We had an awesome meeting today. It's absolutely free that Travis Flaherty led at noon today. And it's about getting in the right community and networking. So reach out to either one of us and we can help get you started in the right place. But what I want to end tonight, guys, is
Let me say this.
Yeah.
In regards to this, when it comes to education, obviously this is a learning curve for the masses. They talk about people who, you're being out of work for 6 months and you lose job skills and you have to be reskilled and things of this nature. And people have never been exposed to, this type of financial, terminologies, and how the actual system works. We talk about people don't even know how the car works, how a combustion engine works, how their microwave works.
Exactly.
Let alone how the blockchain works and nodes and consensus and all these things that we were talking about. But one thing is that people use all those things. They use a car, they use a microwave, and the blockchain is something that everybody on the planet will use. Okay. There was a whole, billions of people that we would call unbanked. They didn't have access to traditional banking, but they had a phone. I mean, when we were out in Ghana and when we go to other certain places around the world, we're in the villages. You might just have, internet access, but if you have a phone, now these people have access to the banking sector, you know. But when it comes to the education, it's not something you're going to catch overnight. But one thing about like Mike said, when you have a mentor and when you have a system, they'll have different ways of educating. So whether it's utilizing an AI learning system, whether it's utilizing, text, video, it's, just like in school, you didn't learn from a textbook only. You had like field trips, on that particular subject. You had, documentaries and you had books on it. Then you made a project on it. Like all these different methods to help encode into your brain so you can connect the neurons and really not only just understand the information, but you want to get to a point when you can understand it and overstand the information. And that's when it gets next level for you. But that's how you start. Yeah, you get in with somebody who can teach you and take advantage.
So going back to the beginning, Laurel, about when we went to California and we talked to Trusted Smart Chain and T7X, it just started to make sense because I feel like blockchain is difficult, crypto is difficult. But when you just tell people, hey, there is a beautiful luxury resort in Tulum, Mexico, right on the Gulf of America. And you know what? They want money, right? They need liquidity. They want to expand. They want to build more. Would you like to be a part of this? And would you like to get paid easily with cryptocurrency? So you can buy this and invest in this with cryptocurrency, and they'll pay you out dividends. And you can get a node, one-time purchase. You just keep getting digital rewards in your wallet every day. And then when there's a distribution from the dividends of this beautiful property we're going to be in May, they're going to have to use the TSC token that we're getting every day. So that's adding liquidity. It's adding utility. We got to meet the team with Matt and everyone there and John, and know they've taken over 100 different companies public on the NASDAQ and Wall Street. And I know we can't describe that all right now. I try to summarize it there for you. But as we close out tonight, maybe just talk about the piece, the experience, the zen you got when you heard kind of how this all wrapped together to actually promote real world assets versus just hype, hope, and promises.
You talking about telling me to say that? To speak to
Well,
that?
yeah, like what is when we went to California,
Mm-hmm.
what was the epiphany that you saw?
You know, I think it was just the people that were there that I was the most impressed with. How quick people were to um, just be very open. I felt like the people that were there that spoke either, there were people there who own companies that are going to be on the blockchain. And I'm sorry if I'm not saying all that right, but you know what I
You're
mean?
correct.
Um, being able to speak to those people.
Right.
And like I was sitting next to a guy before the meeting started and we were just having a conversation. He was super nice. I was just asking him about his life. He was asking me about mine. Next thing I know, he's getting up and he's like a mayor
Presenting.
in Utah and he was like running for senator and like all, and I'm like, what? I
Yeah.
mean, it was just like everybody there was so just at such another level, but they were so down to earth and they were so willing to talk to me. They didn't, they weren't condescending or acting annoyed that I didn't know anything. Um, and I just really appreciated that openness and the kindness and um, honestly, just their level of intelligence and the things that they have done and created. And to be able to just sit there and talk to them and, you know, it was just incredible. I mean, I really wish there was a way that I could quantify it,
Yeah.
but I was stunned. I truly was. I really was stunned.
Yeah, no, that is tough. And I think what you went through there was that discrepancy of you are connecting all these things you don't know and understand about crypto and the blockchain with real world use cases, right? You were
Mhm.
meeting millionaires and billionaires who own luxury resorts, who own, you know, oil refineries that are doing 10 million barrels a day. You're meeting people that ran for the US Senate and were endorsed by Donald Trump. And you're like, wait, all of this massive network here is building this and connecting this thing I don't know anything about, but I know people vacation in Tulum. I know that people need oil. I know that businesses want to raise revenue. So that's why I think you're in such a unique situation is you've just been exposed to this new digital economy when it comes to blockchain and crypto, but you got to see the reality when it comes to what T7X and Trusted Smart Chain is doing with just the community and the network alone is so valuable.
Yeah, I mean that guy I was talking to, I literally had no idea who he was until he got up to speak, and he has Trump on speed dial. Like Trump
Yeah,
calls him and talks
Trent.
to him. Like 6 degrees of separation is like two.
Right.
It's nuts. I'm like, I'm
I love
basically
it.
besties with Trump now. Like it's crazy.
Well, I love it, Laurel. And again, we definitely need to have you back on. Mims, I'm trying to, summarize what was going on and what we have here with again, we'll be going to Tulum in May with Trusted Smart Chain to see the uh, experience that we're tokenizing. So maybe try to sum it up for people that are new. Maybe they don't understand the blockchain, but I think they can understand, real estate, a business that is producing income, and the fact that they'll now have a chance to invest in those companies and earn dividends or purchase a node and be able to get digital rewards every single day.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Berkshire Hathaway in '96 was like $21. Berkshire Hathaway all-time high is like at $492 or something. I mean, so what we're looking at here is when we talk about, you might not understand any of this, but just understand the concept, understand the opportunity. You don't have to understand how a Ferrari or a Lamborghini works versus a Toyota, but you understand, you plug the key in the ignition or press the button, you know how to turn the wheel, you know how to give it some gas and brake, there's value there. You know that if you invested in the first cars, and as that industry grew, the car companies, you made some money, right? Some significant life changing money. Well, in the internet, like Mike talked about in '95, there were opportunities. And in the early 2000s, after the crash, or whatever, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, Microsoft, these are big, giant global companies that if you had just put something in there, you'd be better off than putting nothing. Well, that's what it is with blockchain and crypto right now. You don't really understand the inner workings
Right.
right now, and you might not understand the full complexity of it because it just gets too deep. Maybe it don't matter how much schooling you get, you like, I just won't get it. But long as you can see that there's value here, and long as you can grasp the transition and the amount of money that's moving into this value, and where the actual price of that asset is now versus where the price of that asset can be based on the value and the change in the economy, you just want to figure out, well, how do I acquire the asset, how do I move the asset, and how do I secure the asset at bare minimum?
Right.
Okay, because once the money comes, then when you'll get excited about figuring out all this other stuff. You got a crypto wallet that has a few $1,000,000 in it. Oh, you're going to be excited to learn about DeFi. The DeFi, what's that? Oh, you're going to be excited to learn about how you can live off your digital assets. You're going to get excited about everything that the blockchain has to offer, because now it's a real valuable way to change your life. The same way people get excited about going to college, because they saw that I can learn something that I have no idea about. But if I learn this, it can help, create a better lifestyle for me, preserve me a decent standard of living. So I want to learn this, even though I have no idea what they're going to teach me. And I don't know if I'm going to pass the grades. I might not even get the degree, but you go through that process because you understand the value.
Mm.
So understand the value of learning blockchain and crypto and acquiring certain digital assets would do that for your life and more, but not just for you, but for your generation to come. Because when you went to college and you got that degree, when you pass, that degree ain't going to help your children. They got to figure it out on their own. But with blockchain and crypto, especially when you own nodes, okay, that is generational wealth. You buy your node right now today for your children, for yourself, after you pass, because one day we all got to go. That blockchain, that node is going to keep running, and it's going to keep producing digital assets. And you can pass that on to anybody you choose to. And they're going to continue to financially benefit from that software, from that node. So this is why it's important that you take this opportunity seriously, because this is not going to stay around at this level.
No.
And these prices forever. And nodes are limited. They sell out. So your opportunity to get them ain't gonna be here 5 years from now. They're gonna be sold out. So take advantage.
Well, listen, Laurel, you are amazing. Guys, if you knew what she does every day, it's absolutely amazing. Again, I I'm being sincere here. I think any woman that has 6 children is amazing. Everything you and Matt do to raise them, which obviously they're on the live dropping more knowledge than Mims and I sometimes. So again, awesome kids, realtor. Shout out to Matt for letting you come on, and he'll be running validators and keep educating people his way. But again, guys, we just brought Laurel on to show you anyone can do this, right? Super busy, super successful, so many kids. They play soccer, they're doing sports all the time, they're traveling all over. Um, and just in the last few months, she got that, desire because of what she saw in the real world. And that's the biggest disconnect people have is the digital versus the physical. But when she went to California to see what Trusted Smart Chain was doing, how they're connecting the physical to the digital, that switch flipped for her. So we're so excited to help her and so many new people learn this digital world. Like I said, guys, you're going to be lost in the next 5 years if you don't understand how to move with blockchain and cryptocurrency. But Laurel, any last words you want to leave people with? Any inspiration to get them to take that next step and not worry about not understanding everything? Just take a baby step and get educated.
My husband and I have talked a lot. We were offered an opportunity with Bitcoin back when it first started to do whatever those machines were called that made them every day.
The miners.
Yes. And we didn't take it.
Mm.
And the amount of money,
4.2 billion.
how much?
4.2 billion.
4.2 billion I would have been darling as a billionaire right now, but it's fine. But I really do believe that the opportunity right now is so massive and there's so few people doing it. And I know the importance of being at the front end of something. And we missed it back in 2008 or whatever it was. And I don't want that to happen again. And even just as a realtor, seeing how much harder it is for a first time home buyer to get into the market now
Yeah.
versus 4 years ago, and the challenge and how difficult it is if they don't have parents that can help them out or that kind of thing. Like the world has just gotten so much more expensive in the last 4 years. And it's so important to Matt and I that we are able to help our kids and that we're able to leave them a legacy and make their lives a little bit easier. And when they want to go buy a house, to be able to help them. And when I think about the amount of homes I would have to sell every year
Yeah.
to be able to help my kids in the way I want to in, 5-10 years from now, I really do think that it's the people who take the time to learn about it now, it's going to be life changing. And for me, it was just I didn't want to put all that weight on Matt to learn it all and to be involved. And we raise our kids together and we want to leave them a legacy together. So I think timing is really, really, really important. And I don't know much about crypto, but I know a lot about economics and real estate and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And timing is really, really, really important. So that's why I really have a fire lit under me now because I want to be on the front end of it like I wasn't with Bitcoin.
Did I
I
hear
love
Matt
it.
say $4.2 billion is where you guys would be right now?
That's what he said. I try not to think about it.
Well, instead of telling
It's fine.
instead of telling the Bitcoin pizza story, which was 10,000 Bitcoins, which is about let's say if Bitcoin 80,000, that's like $800 million. Okay, I'm going to tell the Matt and Laurel Sauls story. Okay,
Yeah,
4.2 billion.
we couldn't even wrap our heads around what Bitcoin was. Like it was. This whole thing was really, really great. I mean, we didn't have any money either, so that was a big part of it. But
No, but one of the main things that people should really get from that as well is that it was a much better opportunity in those early days to mine Bitcoin than to buy Bitcoin. That's why I tell people all the time, I'd rather get paid in these digital assets. I'd rather receive digital assets every single day for the rest of my life, especially at the beginning, you know, early on, before the hype, before the notoriety, before the massive amounts of liquidity and partnerships and, you know, growth in the ecosystem. I want to be accumulating a lot of those digital assets, you know, early on. And so that's the benefit that we have with, you know, T7X and the node infrastructure, and being able to, you know, acquire the nodes now early while the nodes are cheap, while the digital assets are just coming out to those active nodes online. You know, receive digital assets every single day. Don't just buy them.
No, that's fire. So listen, I think this episode might go down in history as the greatest ever. So if somebody sends you this, get back with them to get a trusted smart chain node so you don't make the same mistake Matt and Laurel did with Bitcoin. If you're following Laurel, get in touch with her and the Blockchain Chicks. Follow them on TikTok, Blockchain Chicks. If you saw this with M.I.M.S or I, contact us or whoever shared this with you. We are excited about growing this community, growing the education, and helping as many people win as possible in the greatest wealth transfer in human history as we go from real world assets to the blockchain. Laurel, you are amazing. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate you. Shout out to Matt for letting you come on and running all the nodes and taking care of the kids while you're on here.
Well, thank y'all, and I really appreciate getting to meet y'all in California, and y'all were very kind to answer my questions. Stuck in the backseat of a car with me for like 5 hours, rapid fire.
Just driving in Oklahoma out to the
You
oil
were trapped
refinery
with me
for 2 hours.
and all my newbie questions. I know I was annoying, but y'all were very, very patient
No,
and
never.
very good teachers. So thank
No,
you.
we had a great time.
Never.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Growing your network, helping more people, and changing the world one node at a time.
Fully plan on cornering y'all in Tulum and asking you 1,000 more. So
Hey, we'll be there live streaming.
so exciting.
All right, guys.
All right.
Share this out, drop some comments, and